Hello and welcome back. As you probably know, there haven't been a lot of videos from me recently, partially because I'm getting a bit sick, and because I made 4 videos, but OBS didn't record any audio, meaning that 4 of the videos I made were for, the trash. Then I didn't really feel like redoing them. Anyways, they brought out a devlog that is so bad that I actually wanted to make a devlog on it, even though I have a headache. They call this entire thing location Pradesh. And I think I've already said this in the past that what Gaijin is making the worst map they have added to the game yet. But I'm going to say it again because they made a worse map, somehow. First, if you just look at this screenshot, it doesn't look that bad. I'm also not going to read over all of this because that's kind of pointless. Here we see the map in total. I will already have another window open so we can look at it a bit more closely. And while the map does look a bit nice if you look at this here, there are some vital problems. They say this as the largest map or one of the largest maps in game, but this is horseshit. The part where you can effectively or you will have tank battles on are only 3 kilometers, and they just say the detailed size of the detailed zone is approximately 3 by 3 kilometer. So it could also be that the entire battle space isn't even 3 kilometers, but that the surroundings count and as well as detailed. But that is something I don't know. It could also be that the surroundings immediately stop past the accessible areas by tanks. In which case the map still isn't big. It is one of the largest maps in quotation marks because the helicopter or aircraft variant, the largest of this, which will probably be an enduring confrontation, is 128 by 128 kilometers. But that is entirely uninteresting for the overwhelming majority of players, because even if you do realistic air battles, you will not get a map that's even close to 100 by 100 kilometers. So here we have the map a bit bigger. As you can see, it is pretty much a circle. I also made this here. If you can see the blue axis, which it should be. Actually, I think I'm covering them. Yes, this is better. Not covering them anymore. So the blue axis are basically where I would expect the possible spawns to be. The spawns always change a bit depending on which battle mode you have. So for the normal battle mode, I would assume that the 2 outer points I marked here are the respective spawns. And when you have modes where both teams have 1 point or you have just one in the middle, I would assume that you either have the middle points I marked here as spawn points or one of the ones to the side. War Thunder isn't very consistent on that, so it could be both. And the red circuits are points that look accessible by tanks by just looking at it. So here, I think could be, actually no, it's not accessible. This looks accessible though. This could possibly be accessible depending on what's around it, but I didn't mark it because it doesn't really look like it. But this looks very accessible. All you have to do is to sneak around somewhere here. And if that is the case, then that gives 2 major problems, and that being that you can effectively overlook the entire northern half from the southern spawn, while from the northern half, regardless of where you park, right, you won't be able to look anywhere past the small, well, how do I put that, river coast, and over here at the bridge a little bit, because if you look a bit more closely, there are bridges, rocks and all that in the way. So you won't, even if you go to the city edge here, right, you won't really be able to look into here at all. However, the opposite is the case. If you manage to get to the city here, as example, it pretty much looks like you will be able to overlook everything, with an exception of this middle point, which I marked as a possible spawn. And so yeah, not only is this map very small, you're forced to drive through rivers with only 3 bridges in total. 2 of them being at the very edge of the map and leading to the other side respectively. And then there's, well, those are 2 bridges, but I'm just gonna count them as one. One, because one of them can also be just bypassed because there's mud, which is arguably worse than just water, but to get to this middle island where you can then enter the city. So having a map split by a river is pretty bad because it's pretty fair to assume that the points are going to be in the city as example, which is really hard to access from the southern half because you are forced to drive through the river. What this effectively means is that the northern half will always, under all circumstances, reach the middle point before the southern half even has a chance to, regardless of what vehicles they have. Unless, of course, the northern half only has something like a mouse or something, and nothing else. But as soon as they have a medium tank, they can, with a decent acceleration, like a Panzer IV, a Leopard 1, or what, choose whatever. They will reach this half here first. Then here's a possible point. Here you have a similar issue again. You have a massive open area. You have to cross through a river, so regardless of what vehicle you have, you are going to be extremely slow to possibly reach this point. And then you have at the very edge of the map, that I'm not even certain if it's going to be included in the tank map, where you can cross, but I mean, this can be overlooked from the entire map as well because it's pretty even. So if you have someone sit in the middle or literally just crawl here out of the spawn, right, they'll be able to shoot at you on the bridge, which makes crossing into this point extremely hard. Similar thing here. Here I'm actually not even certain where I would put the point. I suppose right on the dam over here, which still would be bad. Both teams can reach this point pretty easily and there's a lot of cover. But this is also bad because it just kind of forces a head-on fight. A lot of maps have similar points that are quite well covered, but unlike this one, they can actually be flanked. Here you have very narrow points where you can actually open fire on this point, and it's mostly from the northern half as well. So the balancing of the halves is really questionable because one side can be spawn camped really easily, while the other has a seemingly, of course this is all just speculation, a seemingly considerably superior defensive position for the points once they've been taken, while also having easier access to said points, well, except the one over here at the northeastern edge. That doesn't seem to be too easy to reach, actually, for either side. And the northern half actually has a longer, less covered way to get here as well. So, of course, a lot of things here are speculations, although I'm pretty certain that this big town center here is going to be a point that just, looks too much like one to not be one. Same with the islands. Like this river splits the map very evenly, so it is, I think, very fair to assume where the points are going to be. I could also be, of course, wrong, and the spawn points are differently. So not here and here, but over the dam as example, and then here over the last bridge over here, which would still be a very bad spawn point, but it would make things less horrible. But to me it looks like the river splitting it evenly, so one riverside versus the other, which I think would be horrible. And unfortunately they're also not saying anything about that here at all. They're just giving two very useless screenshots where they look kinda nice. They don't really give you any details about the map. The only thing where you can make assumption is this here. They also do not, as I said, don't give you any information. But in my opinion, it looks really bad, and I'm a bit concerned about it. But I always like new maps. Recent reworks of maps and new additions have been absolutely horrible. Well, I think some somewhat recent but still older addition to the game, namely the map Breslau, is actually not bad. I think there have been worse maps in the game, like way worse than Breslau, and it's actually a map I'm having fun on. This looks like this reminds me a lot of Mostok, but in India for no reason, you know. So I'm not really sure what to think about it yet. I can only make these assumptions I've told you about, and if I'm true, or if these are true, then this map is going to be complete garbage. If I'm entirely wrong about how the spawns are going to be laid out and whatnot, then this map could maybe not be horrible, but of course it has to be seen how it will be once it is released in the game. But to me it looks really bad. But I also take a look on the dev server once it's up. Should be next week maybe, or the week after. Should be the first dev servers. If it's there, I take a look at the map, and if I'm wrong with certain things, or the map isn't nearly as bad as I think it is, I will make another video, but right now this looks really horrible, to be honest. Anyways, thank you for watching, and see you for the next devblog video.